Uno, dos, tres, pasa el guaro. Y sin estrés, que caro. Te gustan los chicos malos. Y se te ve que ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Esa Julieta no necesita su Romeo. A esas caderas todo le creo. Ya está, esta manera de perreo. Bájale al fuego porque esto se puso feo. Aquí un paisita con la de Ponce. Ella la mala y apelando el bronce. Yo flow Maluma, tu flow Beyoncé. Bien pegadito pa' que sientas el roce. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón, con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón, ella como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Yo le doy un flow a mi bebé la pupi. Le doy un guarito pa' que deje el tutti frutti. Pa' que no se estrese y solo me va a hacer booty. Izquierda, derecha con su movimiento sutil. Nos moquea como Loya en el ring. Nunca pasa moda como la era de los memes. De toda la peli ella es la mejor sin. La bebé esta cara y eso que no usa Supreme. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón. Con su flow gemelita de G-Lo, de G-Lo, de G-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, reggaetón. Ella como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Baby. Presentando pa'
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. How's everyone this Sunday? Hope you're all doing good. That you've enjoyed your weekend and hopefully had some time to breathe, cool off. It's going to be a new week, and I think that we're going to get some answers. So things seem to have gone a bit quiet over the weekend, and I don't know why that is. Maybe they've backed off because I know that there's a few people who might be incriminated, especially on the British tabloid side. And I think some of the American media now might be calling their jets. It was horrible to witness just how much misinformation. But I think that this has also become a tactic of theirs because, let's face it, the lie goes further than the truth. So even though there's probably going to be corrections, retractions, and a lot of egg on people's faces, probably in the coming weeks, they've already spun the lie loud enough that to try and get the truth out there, Team Sussex is going to have to somehow be 10 times louder. And that's the unfortunate thing. So I think that they just wanted to be as loud as possible because whatever was meant to happen the other night. It did not go to plan the way the tabloids and whoever else was involved wanted it to go, basically. So we'll see what's to come this week. Anyway, I've got just a handful of updates today. Not going to keep you for too long. Please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, please. People are asking about some video about the royal family and grandchildren. I've seen something going up my Twitter feed, but to be honest with you, I haven't clicked on it and I don't want to. So whatever that was, if you saw it, cool. I'm not covering it here. I'm glad you're all liking the new intro song. And thank you for allowing me to take a break. I didn't realize just how much I think the other day affected me, and also just I think it's more so having to see the trolling and just the lack of empathy, because I'm quite a deep empath. So to see other people just have no regard for human life, that is very difficult for me to absorb. So I think that really affected me more than anything. Just seeing how nasty some people are, because I don't have that in my heart. That level of hatred should be reserved for like murderers and artists. Like I don't understand where that level of hatred comes from two people that you don't know and that you only read about from the tabloids. Anywho, let's get to it. First thing of the day. Karma knows everybody's address, as we know. And she may take some time to get to your door, but she'll get there eventually. Another one who should have kept Harry and Meghan out of their mouths. Phillip Schofield has left. Good morning. This morning after 20 years. So there were already rumblings going on in the days leading up to this that he was getting lawyers, that Holly Wilbury was distancing herself. Although she seemed pretty chummy and happy when they were lining up to see the Queen, skipping the line. But whatever Phillip Schofield, whatever's going on in his personal life is now spilling into his professional. And the ITV released a statement, he released a statement. I think that there is a lot more to come from this. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and apples from the same tree are all rotten, and we all know what went down with his brother. So for the lawyers listening, I'm not going to speculate, but I think we all know what could be coming. And I think we also all know how big media corporations will protect their stars and put profits over morals and people. And just another example of the Harry and Meghan hater train, and why anybody who's on that train should get off. Get off quickly before karma comes for you too. We are going to be hearing more about Phillip Schofield in the next couple of months, and I don't think it's going to be good, because if I've read into the allegations, and if they are true, this man is in trouble. Right. In other news, the Derangers are putting together a wish list for the Baby Bank and Baby Basics UK, and this is not the first time that they've tried to do something like this, but they have never been successful at doing any fundraisers. I actually don't believe that the Cape Rangers exist. I think most of them are just trolls who. Oh, what I mean they don't exist, I mean they're not really like fans of Kate. They're haters of Harry and Meghan. They only really joined the royal fandom to hate on Harry and Meghan, and the fandom that was built around Kate when she first became a royal woman was mostly around her style and her clothes and her hair. it wasn't really around service and community in the way that the Sussex Squad has built itself because of the fact that our faves lead by example, right? So the last time I remember Dorinda's doing a fundraiser, I think the girl who was leading that fundraiser, if I remember correctly, squaddies who were around at the time, you can help me out here. But if I remember correctly, I believe that she donated a couple of £100. A couple of other people donated £10 here, £20 there, but it didn't really reach its goal. So that's why she ended up donating a couple of £100 herself, and then she took it down. And unfortunately, the royals, all of their patronages is really just PR and attaching themselves to charity to try and justify the fact that we spend millions of them, almost 100 millions on them, almost 100 million a year, plus funeral, jubilee and coronation expenses. That is why they do all this PR stuff, to try and justify how much we spend. And yet those charities do not benefit from their presence. Now, very, very sadly, one of Kate Middleton's charities has shut down over safeguarding fears, which is very troubling. Thoughts and prayers to those family members. I have family in care, and it's something that you worry about all the time. Now, obviously, I'm not going to blame Kate for this. However, I will ask, to what extent are her people actually um, keeping an eye on what's going on with these charities that the royals are attached to? Because we know that there was one charity where she showed up after, what was it, 8 years, and that was only over a Zoom call, and the guy even called her out over this on camera. And I'll also be interested to see if they, as in the royals or Kate, makes any statement about this. Because if these abuse allegations are true, uh, this is really tragic, and this is actually a chance for them to come out and say something on behalf of these families. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to attach yourself to a charity like this and you are a high profile person, the very least you can do is come out and support those families. And her whole thing is about shaping us and children and all of this stuff. Well, protecting our children from abuse, especially our most vulnerable children who are being looked after, that should be at the forefront of that. And if Catherine is going to put herself out there as someone who is an advocate for these things, I would hope, no, I'm not going to hold my breath, if indeed these allegations turn out to be true, I think that she should say something. Also, there's been this story going around about Kate and the Little Mermaid. Listen, I didn't want to get deep into this because it's just the most ridiculous thing I have heard in a while. Literally trying to insert Kate's name into Little Mermaid and Meghan as well. They are claiming that there is a scene in the Little Mermaid that is a dig at Kate, and because Meghan has connections to Disney, it was Meghan that told Disney to put this in the Little Mermaid. Like, this is ridiculous. They literally had Chloe and Hailey at the um Earthworm Prize not too long ago. So I don't think Catherine will be that offended. And it's just such a stretch. This is such a yoga stretch, a whole back bend. Such a reach. I mean, I'm not going to play the video, but if you go to my shorts, I posted a clip from, I think it was Talk TV, where they were trying to link Catherine to the Little Mermaid, and it's all Meghan's fault. And Meghan told them to put it in the um or somehow managed to influence Disney to put it in the movie. It's just ridiculous. It's like they've run out of everything now. They don't have anything, they make it up. It's just wild to me. Anyway, to your comments before we go on to the next thing. Yeah, it's very true. That island seems full of nonsense, indeed. Yeah, they don't have an original thought. Copy paste is learning from the ultimate miss copy and paste, or Duchess of Fashion Nova, as I'm now calling her. Danielle, you said every hero or heroine needs an even stronger villain to fight. Even the less famous British tabloids have begun to create that for Kate. Yeah, yeah. It's just it's creating this narrative, this story, right? Coco, did these two mermaid actresses come out to meet Kate in Boston? Yes, yes. Unfortunately, yes. Our Little Mermaid and her sister came out to meet Kate and William. I was really shocked to see them there. Like, if I was a celebrity right now, I would not want to have anything to do with the other royals. I think they are just a very toxic brand at this point. Okay, on to the next thing. Yes. This started circulating on Twitter. A photographer said a booking sheet went out by UK media. 20k for a photo inside a car and 60k if Harry looks angry. If this is and then someone quote tweeted this saying, if this is true, this is why the chase of Harry and Meghan happened, why the UK press had the only photos and what happened in the first place, UK obsession and brokenness. I would not be one bit surprised if this is true. I'm gonna look for it because I know it's floating around somewhere, but I remember reading that um like certain photos of Diana would sometimes go up into the tens of thousands, up all the way up to about 250,000, a quarter of a million. So this doesn't shock me at all. And when you've got photographers going around saying, if I got the, I could potentially get the last photo of Harry alive, this doesn't shock me. And if you look at any British tabloid, online or in print, the photos that they use are very strategic. They always get that, just that one moment where, Harry is looking down, he's looking to the side, um, you know, maybe he just looked a little bit off in that 1 second, and that's the photo that they use. I'll never forget, there was one photo of Meghan where it was on their leaving tour, right? Just before they stepped down. It's the one where she's in that red dress and she looks really shocked at the camera and like the light is really bright in her face. Um, and they splashed that photo everywhere. Like she just looks very off guard. The lighting kind of made her face look a bit funny, but she was probably just shocked at like all the flashes of the camera. But they used that photo everywhere, and they still use that photo. And just any photo where Harry is looking sad, he might not even be sad. It was just that split second because they want to continue this narrative of, Harry is miserable, Harry is a prisoner, Meghan is controlling him. I mean, there was even a story in page 6 about Harry has a private hotel where he goes to escape Meghan. I mean, it's just mental. They are so desperate to paint this picture. And I think it's because number one, they are still, I guess, hoping that Harry would come back. He will not. Number two, Harry and Meghan's love and their affection for each other is so much in contrast to the coldness between the other royal couple, particularly William and Kate. So they really need to keep driving it home how miserable Harry is, when he's just absolutely not. He's said over and over and over again, I'm the happiest that I've ever been. He's got a beautiful wife, 2 gorgeous kids, family and friends who love him, and he's probably experiencing love for the first time, um, or okay, I wouldn't say for the first time in his life, but with all the peace and serenity around him that he never had when he was in the UK. It was always any love that he did have, whether it was with partners, or with some relatives who treated him right. It was always with that aggro and that camera clicking in the background. And unfortunately, all of this comes at a price, because now it's like there's a bounty on Harry and Meghan's heads. And one of the things that we definitely need clarity on is who else was in that chase, because they're saying that there were several other SUVs, about 3 or 4, and people on bikes and scooters. Who were those other people? Because whoever they were, they're hiding. You know, TMZ were there also. They got footage, but they're not hiding. They got some pictures. They're not hiding, because I don't. Yes, TMZ are a menace in their own way, but they're still very careful. You know, they've been in the game for years. I don't think that it was TMZ that was crashing into people's cars. I don't think it was TMZ that were running over LAPD officers or pedestrians. So who else were those other people? Who were they? We need names and faces. And that's why they're trying to avoid handing over photos and footage. But there is definitely going to be CCTV. Harry and Meghan were, well, Harry was filming. You could see he had his phone out and he was filming. And I'm sure while Harry and Meghan were still in the SUVs, there would have been cameras, dash cam, and possibly inside as well. So little by little, it's gonna come out who was involved. And I have no doubt in my mind now that this was definitely UK tabloid media. And if there were any American paparazzi or media, they were probably linked to the same people in the UK as well. But now looking at these figures, you can see why these people are just so hungry and thirsty like this. Because mind you, we've had a couple of times, even the other week when Meghan was hiking, of paparazzi photos that have come out. But if you notice, they're always from a distance. They're not chasing them around. And the laws, especially in LA, are such that paparazzi do have to be careful like that now. You can't get into people's faces anymore. And you certainly can't be chasing people around. The days of chasing celebrities around, those are long gone. We learnt this from the Britney days. And that's one of the reasons there was so much change. So whoever was involved in this, they were not the usual paps at all. And the fact that they would send someone to go and sit in that ballroom, the Daily Fail would send someone that I forget her name now, but she wrote a whole article. Is it Maureen something? Maureen Callahan? You know, they were all over this. And they have not explained why it is that it was them, the Daily Express and the Daily Fail, who got those pictures first and who published them first. Nobody else published them, not even TMZ. In fact, it was only after that TMZ published those photos. Oi. It's going to be a long couple of weeks. It's going to be a long couple of weeks, folks. Yeah, Valerie, it's disgusting. That photographer wanted the last photo of Harry alive. Sorry, folks. I was just deleting a troll. Just like I just saw this comment and I was like, no, just go away, please. Um, Benjamin, you said, Anne, I believe Harry is very much wanting to know who else was there. He knows it's the British tabloids, yes, and potentially Palace. Rochelle, TMZ is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Yes, that is true. Do you know what? It's interesting that TMZ originally came out and just told the story how it was. And this makes me think that even they were blindsided by this other group of paparazzo. Because now, like today, I've seen an article that is kind of um bordering on trying to sow doubt in TMZ's initial reporting, which was completely accurate, mind you. And that tells me perhaps even they were not aware of this other pack of paparazzi or that any of this was going to happen. And they're probably going, oh crap, we've actually reported on this accurately. What we've said actually matches what Harry and Meghan's people have said. And oh no, we've told the truth. We've told the truth about what went down with Harry and Meghan. Oh no. And now it's almost like they're trying to backtrack. Oh. Himi fan, okay, conspiracy theory. Could some of the police have tipped off the pap for money? Um, do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Dawn New York is running their investigation. Those photos will court order. Well, if this does turn into a criminal investigation, the paparazzi agency can be as cocky as they want, and they have tried. They will have to hand over the footage and the photos. They haven't tried to delete them already. Angela, you said, and I'm not a fan of TMZ, but one thing I can say about the photographers and reporters is that they are respectful. They ask stupid questions and celebrities tolerate them. Well, I think it's because they've learnt their lesson, Ginger. You know, TMZ in the early days, it was like the wild, wild west. I remember actually on E News, um, there was a whole genre of just um this relentless uh like like locusts swarming around celebrities. And there was literally a show on E News. It was like an hour long where they would literally just go around swarming paparazzo and following them around. And that was the whole show. So it's definitely changed from that, you know, 90s, early 2000s era. And that's not to say that, listen, that there were some celebrities who, yes, do call the paparazzi. There are. I'm not dismissing that fact at all. But even then, you could argue, well, it's still controlled because they've called them. But to be that vicious and almost stalker-like, it's just wrong. And definitely when there are children involved, it's just a no from me. And when you are putting other members of the public and law enforcement in danger, it's just an absolute no. And unfortunately, these paparazzo who were out there the other night chasing Harry and Meghan, it's like we went back to that era of just no control, no no sense of empathy or humanity, just greedy like termites for money. When it comes to the New York police, though, I don't know if they can be trusted. Benjamin blacked out license plates is a flat out illegal here in New York. Yeah. I guess we'll see what that was about. Jackson, you said the NYPD has decided that they will not investigate. I haven't heard anything about that. I don't really know where the case is, to be honest. I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks. Okay, so next thing I wanted to look at was, yeah, I came across this archived article. I think this just links into the fact that, you know, the British tabloids, they haven't learned their lesson. So, the British editors who were barred from the Abbey. No surprises, one of them was Piss Moron, and also Paul Decree. Don't know how to say his second name. I actually wanted to do a video on him, and I will do a video on him eventually, because there's a lot of dirt about him. He worked for the Daily Fell as well. But let me just read an article about this because I thought it was quite interesting. I didn't actually know this. I didn't know that the tabloid editors had to be barred because I thought they'd had the decency to just not even ask to go. But this is the article from 1997. The editors of Britain's 5 mass-market tabloid newspapers have sheepishly accepted a demand by Princess Diana's brother, Charles Spencer, that they stay away from her funeral today, even though they had earlier been invited by the royal family. Why was the royal family out here inviting these people? Why would you invite these people? For what reason? I mean, just the mindset. Mind you, in the days leading up to Diana's funeral, members of the public were literally getting into fights outside of the palace with paparazzi, with the press. And for whatever reason, the on royal mafia decides to invite these people. So who in the royal family decided that they should come? That the people who, on the morning when we were finding out about Diana's passing, wasn't the headline something like Diana's wild ways, something like that? It was just something really scummy, and they had to do a retraction and apologize. And you invite them to the funeral? I want to know whose idea was this. Where was Charles in this? Where was Lizzie in this? Oh. Anyway, goes on to say, we are obviously accepting this request, says spokesman for Piers Morgan, editor of the Daily Mirror. Stuart Higgins, editor of The Sun, said he had been surprised and honoured by his invitation, but was happy to comply with the request to stay away as a mark to respect the princess. So the royals had invited, and it was Charles Spencer that had to say absolutely not. Spencer's angry phone calls Thursday to the bosses of Britain's gutter press focused attention on the mass-market tabloids' use of snatched pictures of celebrities such as Diana, killed last weekend, with 2 others in a car crash in Paris, apparently while trying to escape paparazzi on motorbikes. They also emphasized a rift between the Spencer family, who want the funeral to be as private as possible, and the royal family, who want to offer the nation a public memorial. I think it is appropriate for him to say that he doesn't want the tabloids there. They have a lot to answer for, said Labour member of Parliament Clive Soley. I have been very struck ever since her death that neither the editors nor the owners have put their heads above the parapet, particularly the owners who, if they had acted together, could have stopped this. Indeed, the usually brash tabloid bosses have kept a low profile since the princess's death. Editors are refusing interviews and shunning publicity and will not discuss their future policy on using paparazzi pictures. There was strong public anger against the press earlier this week. Reporters and photographers were repeatedly insulted in the streets, like I said, by people mourning Diana. One nervous tabloid, the Daily Mail, admitted in an editorial that it had not always been innocent when it came to recycling the kind of pictures that jackals with cameras just ought to provide. Diana, forgive the media for what was done to you, read one of the hundreds of thousands of emotional messages attached to bunches of flowers that have been put around London sites by her admirers. They knew not what they did. The accused have been fighting back by trying, with some success, to deflect blame away from themselves and onto the driver of Diana's car. They have also showered the roars of criticism, alleging that they have been coldly out of touch with the country's grief. Inflammatory headlines on these topics help force the royal family to return early to Balmoral Castle in Scotland, raise an untraditional mourning flag over Buckingham Palace, and in the Queen's case, make a Friday speech to the nation. But by withdrawing the tabloid editor's invitation to the funeral, Spencer drew attention back to accusations he made earlier that the press had blood on its hands. I will always believe that the press. I always believed that the press would kill her in the end. He commented, but not even I could imagine that they would take such a direct hand in her death, as seems to be the case. And it goes on for a little bit longer, but you get the idea. But the fact that they even wanted to be there, to do what? You wanted to dance on her coffin? Please. Anyway, just to end, Victoria, I lost my eyelashes arbiter. She's back. You know what? I had to remind myself that it's been 2 years since the Oprah interview, which means it's been 2 years that Victoria Arbiter has been crying about losing her eyelashes. So she released a video where she's basically trying to get her job back, change the narrative of what happened. Now, even though these people are the absolute filth of the earth, the scum, I still try to be fair on this channel, even where the devil is not. And I will just say this. I watched Victoria's video. Does the video exonerate her? No, I don't think it does. Does it make her look less nasty? Yes, it actually does. When you listen to what she says in full, to be fair, she does actually say some nice things about Harry and Meghan. However, it doesn't take away from the fact that she still commented on an interview that she had not seen. It doesn't take away from the fact that Victoria Arbiter is part of a wider machine that causes distress day in, day out. It doesn't take away from the fact that Victoria Arbiter at no point holds any of her colleagues accountable. It doesn't take away from the fact that Victoria Arbiter's father was out here talking about how Meghan was going to go to the donkey sanctuary. I mean, that has got to be the funniest thing that came out of that interview. But what's not funny is the fact that her and her father, along with all of these other royal rodents, made comments on that interview that they had not seen. And one of the arguments that she tries to make is that, well, this is common practice. Just because it's common practice doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean that you have to partake in it. And as a journalist, I think you have a duty to look at every situation you go into and be smart and sensitive about the way you approach different stories. And I just think with the media storm around Harry and Meghan, with the way that the media has smeared this couple, if I was a journalist in this situation, I would have just let the interview speak for itself and then comment afterwards. I think that was the responsible thing for any journalist to do when you have a story this big. Because commenting before it comes out, it's like it's an attempt to take control of the narrative before the person has even gotten to speak for themselves. And you didn't know what they were going to say in the interview, really. So she's now come out today and she tweeted, "Paralyzed by fear, people who've been wronged rarely fight back, but it's imperative those responsible are held to account. Hopefully my story will be conduit to a conversation we will have to have." Paralyzed by fear. Girl, you know, these people really can't take for 10 minutes what Meghan has gone through for 6 years. And to be quite honest, I mean, aside from, I guess, CNN firing her, I mean, that was pretty awful. Most people were actually just laughing at this. I wouldn't even say that they were really going after Victoria Arbiter in any kind of nasty way. I think they were just like, this is ridiculous. You are all ridiculous. She then goes on to say, "I've spent the last 2 years trying to resolve this matter privately, but the pranksters who claim I lied have refused to engage in any kind of meaningful discussion." Oh, where have I heard that before? Kind of sounds like Harry's situation with his family. "With my reputation at stake, they've left me no option other than to go public." Girl, you've been talking about this for 2 years. "I hope you'll watch and share my short film, but please, if you feel compelled to comment, I respectfully ask that you be mindful of your words and the damaging effect they can have." The me-ness of this, at no point acknowledging what the Sussexes have gone through for the last 6 years, that she has only gone through for about 10 minutes. If Victoria Arbiter had a decent level of self-awareness to at least acknowledge that, I might have a shred of respect for her. But people like her think that, you know, they shouldn't ever be criticized for anything. As far as she's probably concerned, you know, she grew up in Kensington Palace. She should be in Meghan's shoes right now. And I think what's probably eating up Victoria Arbiter alive is, and again, to be fair, she's not even the worst at them. She's not. I have seen things from Victoria Arbiter that are actually, you know, relatively balanced, well-written articles, if I'm being fair. So she's probably sitting there and thinking, well, hang on a minute, why am I being punished like this in comparison to some of my other colleagues in this space? And instead of maybe taking a step back and learning from this, and perhaps actually seeing the light, and perhaps being someone who can try and be more of a balanced voice, be someone who at least has the guts to criticize um the hateful side of this wider royal news cycle that she's in. It's like she's just doubling down on, I'm the victim, because no one else really in her royal news world has ever really been held accountable. Like, if you think about it, really, Victoria Arbiter, she's one of the few that's actually been held accountable, and she's not even necessarily the worst. If I'm being honest, she's not. So that's probably why she's just so damn confused, because nobody ever gets held accountable. Because yeah, why is it that Victoria Arbiter has been fired, but say Dan Wilson hasn't? or Piers Morgan hasn't, or Camilla Tominey hasn't, or Katie Nicholl hasn't. Quite frankly, they should all be in the same shoes that Victoria Arbiter is in. So poor Vicky. But Victoria, if you're listening, you can come over to the light side. Start being more honest about your industry. And you know what? You might actually get some respect from people. And with that, I'm done. I'll go through your comments and then we'll call it a day. Thank you as always, everyone. Much appreciated. Thank you for letting me take a break. I needed it. Really needed it. Like I actually had a really good sleep last night. Whew. Great. John, you said, where is the official statement of the Sussex? I can't find it anywhere, hearing so much about it. If they did or didn't say high speed or not. No, they didn't say high speed. They never said high speed. They never said high speed chase. That came from that stupid mayor, Eric Adams. That's where that came from. Benjamin, you said, I believe Harry and Meghan are gathering everything up now and have been since this happened. Yeah, I'm sure their lawyers are on it. The agents are on it. And you got to remember, everyone, you know, Meghan just signed with the biggest agency on the planet to the most powerful agent on the planet. They thought that the smear campaign had worked. And in one swoop, in one announcement, Meghan basically proved, no, it did not. Because here I am with the big dogs taking me on. So that makes them very, very nervous. Kelly, but were they paparazzi though? I'm thinking person sent to scare Harry into not testifying and what better cover than posing as paparazzi. That's another possibility too. I do believe that is also another possibility. Yes, Gwendolyn, these people are soulless. For sure. And while all of this is going on, you've still got a lady in hospital in a coma after being hit with Sophie's motorcade. You've heard almost nothing about that. And there was another old lady who was also hit, I think in 2019, I think, by Kate and Williams motorcade. I never even heard about that. It's only now because of this that's happened that I heard about that motorcade accident. I never heard about that. Kept that one real quiet in the news. Gwendolyn, the brother could have done more for Diana. He couldn't let her come home. Yeah. Light side, he said, I have no sympathy for Arbiter. She's just trying to get her checks again. I know there are worse folks out there. We already know them, but nope. Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much. Yes, Claudia, it's the one who lost her eyelashes. Girl Victoria has to take consequences for her actions. She agreed to do it and was paid for it. What she did was make a very unwise choice to be involved. Yes, and only for £300. Like, girl, for £300, like, is that how much your soul costs? Huh. Commons, why haven't the Pats been tracked down and held to account? I wouldn't be surprised if they got straight on the plane and went back to the UK. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Ginger Lily, she's trying to justify that commenting before something is published is common practice in the industry. If that is the case, then the media is responsible for a lot of fake news. Exactly. Just because something is common practice does not mean that it's okay. Fatimata, she's angry because none of the others lost their job and she has. However, it's different in the US. Yes. Little bit more credibility stateside. Okay. Who's gonna get the last word of the day? Why, Gordon, you missed the live. Just watch on replay. Watch the replay, gang. Jacqueline, they never said high speed, but the media is playing it down. Yeah, they never actually said high speed, but there is evidence that at least some of the chase was high speed, that they went on a motorway and were going up to 80 miles an hour. So they may not have said, Harry and Meghan's camp may not have said high speed, but there was at least some time where they went down a motorway. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thank you for tuning in as always, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.
Lunes, ya. 1, 2, 3, pasa el guaro. Y sin estrés, que caro. Te gustan los chicos malos. Y se te ve que ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan. Facilito las anota. Y ella se le ve la nota. Que se mueve como loca. Yeah. Esa Julieta no necesita su Romeo. A esas caderas todo le creo. Ya está, esta manera de perreo. Bájale al fuego porque esto se puso feo. Aquí un paisita con la de Ponce. Ella la mala y apelando el bronce. Yo flow Maluma, tu flow Beyoncé. Pega esto pa' que sientas el roce. Con su flow, con su flow. Gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, ton, reggaetón, ton, ton. Con su flow, con su flow, con su flow. Gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, ton, reggaetón, ton, ton. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Yeah, yo le doy un flow a mi bebé la pupi. Le doy un guarito pa' que deje el tutti frutti. Pa' que no se estrese y solo me va a hacer booty. Izquierda, derecha con su movimiento sutil. Nos noquea como Loya en el ring. Nunca pasa moda como la era de los memes. De toda la peli ella es la mejor sin. La ves de esta cara y eso que no usa Supreme. Con su flow, con su flow, con su flow. Gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, ton, reggaetón, ton, ton. Con su flow, con su flow, con su flow. Gemelita de J-Lo, de J-Lo, de J-Lo. Nunca le dice que no, a que no, a que no. A perrele reggaetón, ton, ton, reggaetón, ton, ton. Ella es como Jordan, facilito las anota. Ella se le ve la nota, que se mueve como loca. Ella es como Jordan,